Hi, beautiful being. I am so grateful to be here with you for some plug-in and power up. Today we are talking about the turtle on its back. When you feel flipped upside down and you're exposed, you feel like so much stuff is coming up from the surface, be it thoughts that are not so happy, maybe a little negative, maybe some emotions that are pretty intense and you don't know why they're there and what is happening and why all of a sudden, and you feel like you just need, if you could flip yourself around, everything would just get going again. And so I am so grateful to be here with you. My name is Tara Antler. For those of you that don't know me, I am an intuitive healer, soul coach, and spiritual teacher, and I've been doing what I call this non-work, because it hasn't felt like work at all, over 22 years. I'm coming up to 23 years this August. And one of the things that I love to do most in working with clients in the last 22 years is really being able to clear what I call the ick and the stick. That's stuff that doesn't serve us. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is some of the ick and the stick that comes to the surface. Why does it come to the surface? Why does it catch us off guard all the time? And then what we can start to do to create some alleviation. Because once you clear and you create space from the ick and the stick, you then are free to expand. You start to reconnect to the highest expression of who and what you are. I call it the divine self, our heaven on earth self. Once you connect to that, then you bring it in, you bring it down so that it's not just something that you touch on or feel into just once or twice. This is about embodiment, embodying the highest expression of yourself, embodying the heaven on earth version of you, embodying your bliss, your joy, the goodness, the wealth, all the things that you are creating. Really bring it in and bring it down so that you can live it and feel it. And sometimes when you set these big intentions, when you are creating a life that is so beautiful and so big and so awesome, there are these moments where you do feel like the turtle that's been, flipped upside down. Or the other day we were swimming like outside here, what I look at, and I'll just show you quickly. I might see the curtain here, but that's a rooftop pool right there. And the steps that go up to the rooftop pool. So we were swimming here yesterday, and the boys, that Aria was moving through a fever and she was a little delirious, which kind of freaked me out. And then one by one, the boys then started in the afternoon, and I was like, what is happening right now? And what was interesting, not that I saw any turtles flipped on its back, but I did see a lot of bees flipped upside down and caught in the water. And we'd pick them up, we'd catch them, and then we'd, let them dry off in the sun. And sometimes we need that. It's like the turtle being flipped on its back. Sometimes we need someone to come along and pick us back up and turn us over, because sometimes we don't know how the heck to turn ourselves around. You ever have one of those moments where you just feel like all of a sudden it's as though the world comes crashing down. All of a sudden you're faced with all these big emotions. All of a sudden all this stuff starts hitting the fan. You feel this stuff coming up and out of yourself, and you're like, why? Why is this coming up? Why now? I was doing great. And all of a sudden it's as though life stops and flips us upside down. Now let's think about that for a second. Being flipped upside down, turned inside out. It's a very vulnerable position, right? Think of a bee that's been flipped upside down. It's going like this, like and its wings are wet from being in the pool or the salt water, and it can't flip itself around, and it's calling out for help. It's like a signal goes out, help, 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 help. And this is what happened. This topic today was actually inspired by a client of ours, a client and friend, and I was just messaging some people, thanking them for attending our last workshop, which was a couple of weeks ago, and thanking them and seeing if they want to come and join our next free masterclass, which is happening in 2 days. And in the conversation, this topic came up, and I said, I have to use this as our topic today because I feel like it's such a great analogy for what I'm seeing out there in the world, what I'm experiencing, what a lot of our clients are moving through right now, where it feels like there's a lot that's coming to the surface, and we're asking the question, why? Why now? What the heck is going on? And I don't even know how to flip myself and turn myself right side up. So we're going to unpack that today in the conversation. And let me know in the comments if you're arriving and you're here live. Let me know that you're here live. Let me know if this is resonating. And if you're catching the replay, hashtag replay for me so that I can come back and read your comments, okay? So let's talk about this energy that's coming up and why it's happening. So when we are moving along life and all of a sudden like things are tickety-boo and there's this emotion that comes up, this raw emotion, this big emotion, anger, rage, fear, disappointment, sadness, like really big, 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 heavy things. It never feels good. It's great that it's coming up if we know what to do with it, but it never feels great when it's coming up because most of the time it's confusing. Why is this happening? I can't seem to get myself out of it. I just seem to be consistently feeling this. Then it changes your thoughts, right? And some will say the thoughts come first and then the emotions. I don't know if that's the case. I mean, doing this work for 22 plus years now, I've seen all sorts of things. I've seen the energy shift, which then affects negatively our emotions and our thinking. I've watched our thinking shift, which then negatively affects our emotions and our energy. I've watched people's emotions just go awry, and then all of a sudden they start thinking poorly, and then the energy shifts. I've seen all of it. We are a multidimensional being. All of it is intertwined. So to say and pinpoint this is what caused it, or my thinking went off, sometimes I just think that there are big things that we're here to heal and clear, and it's coming up out of us because it is part of the ascension process. And if you've been in our world for a little time, you know that Gabriel and I love talking about ascension. Where our group, when we first named our group 5 years ago, it was called Path to Ascension, because we saw what was happening. The world was waking up rapidly. We were past even the waking up phase. We were moving into, how do we keep expanding? How do we keep growing? How do we ascend? How do we move ourselves up and through some of these big, heavy, dense identities, experiences, lack, limitation, fear? Rewind the tape like 4 or 5 years ago. Look at the amount of fear that the world went through. There was so much that was happening and coming to the surface at that time that the conversation was definitely about ascension. It still is about ascension, but I think sometimes when we're in the ick and the stick, when it feels thick and it feels heavy, and we're faced with fear or confusion or lack or scarcity or insecurity, or some of these big emotions I was talking to a client about this morning, like anger, sadness, disappointment. These are big emotions. These are heavy. They're heavy on the heart. They're heavy on our mind. They weigh on us. They're heavy in our energetic field. And then we stop feeling like our bright, shiny, beautiful, radiant, heaven on earth self. So I'm going to pause there for a moment. I want to check in with you all, see how this is resonating, say hi to a few people. Hi, Jennifer. Nice to see you. Hi, Daniela. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, happy, beautiful Monday to you. Hi, Carol. So grateful to have you all here. Say hi when you arrive, and let's continue the conversation. Okay. So when these big emotions come, and I feel you, I get it. I have gone through this cycle, this phase of ascension so many times that I've lost count, for real. Somebody was asking me the other day, she said, I don't even really know if I know your healing story. And I was like, I got many healing stories. I got many dark nights of the soul. I have many shadow moments that I have walked through in my journey, partly because I am here to be a healer and a light worker and to show people the way, which means I personally have to go through the thick of the shit too. That's usually what happens. Those of us that are truly an embodiment of the work, truly an embodiment of whatever it is that we're teaching, it's because we've walked it. We're not just talking heads. It's not just theoretical. It's not just, oh, this sounds nice, so I'm going to teach it. This is like, I've walked it. And for many of you, you've known me a long time. Like Jen Beer has known me prior to having kiddos, when Gabriel and I first landed back in Canada. So this would have been, 13 years ago, Jen? Jen knows, like, she's watched me walk through the thick of some big things. This is about us allowing ourselves to go through the thick of it, grow through the thick of it, and then ascend. This is how we become lighter and brighter. This is how we become shinier. This is how we become our 5D version, fifth dimensional beings. This is how we embody heaven on earth. You don't embody heaven on earth by layering or pretending, but there's a whole thick pool of SHIT below you. That's not how you do it. You ascend through moving through the stuff. So that means facing your fear. That means facing these heavy, thick emotions. So this is why I believe they're coming up right now, is because all of us on some level, on a higher consciousness level, we have all agreed to this ascension process. So with ascension comes sometimes descension. That descension is like a pulling back. This is the turtle being flipped upside down. This is the bee that's lost its way and got stuck in a pool and can't get up and out. And it's like we're sending out a signal. The bee sends out a signal. We send out a signal. The turtle sends out a signal saying, somebody help me. Somebody help me. And for those of us that are intuitive healers, or if we've tapped into you before, or if you've been in our world, it's called quantum entanglement, where we are all connected in the field. We're all connected all the time. But when I have connected with you personally, this is what is so cool. If I've ever done a healing session on you, if you've ever been in our world, if you've ever been in one of our programs, if ever you've been, intimately in the circle with us, your energy concentrates. It gets connected, and I get connected to you and you get connected to me. Same with Gabriel. And then all of a sudden what happens is I get these pings. This has been for 22 plus years. As soon as I started my journey as a healer, I would get these little, I call them the taps on the shoulder. tap, 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 and I would notice and I'd look. And as I would look, I would feel or hear or see someone. I'd get their name, I'd see their face, their energy would pop in, and I was like, oh. And Jen, you know, this has happened a number of times. Any of my clients, one-to-one, you know this has happened. Where I get this ping and I hear, contact Jen, contact Cindy, contact Kelly, contact Sarah, contact Megan. Like I literally get these little ding, 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 ding. And if I don't listen to that, then I'm ignoring the field that is speaking to me, that probably you're in that a moment where you feel flipped upside down, like the turtle's flipped upside down, and you're sending out the signal like that bee that we saw yesterday. We saw multiple bees upside down, going like this, struggling, like trying to get their way back up. It's like the turtle that's flipped upside down, like, somebody help me. For the love of all things holy, somebody help me. And thankfully, someone aware enough, awake enough, will hear the signal, will get the message, and will find themselves magically on the path to where the turtle is laying upside down, or to where the bees are laying upside down, and you're like, oh my gosh, let me turn you right side up. This is what happens when we connect with each other. This is why it's so important to have conscious community around you, because there are these moments that are really freaking hard, you guys. Like, for real. There are moments that are really intense, where we're going through some pretty big stuff. And we think that we can handle it alone. Many times, I get it. I've been there. I'm a strong woman too. I'm a strong being. I got a lot of tools in my tool basket. I have a high level of conscious awareness, spiritual conscious awareness. There's a lot that I can do on my own. But there are times where it's like, there's a signal that's going out from my soul that's like, help. It's like literally, if you could imagine the energetic field of your being going, help, 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 somebody help me, right? And if there's people around in the field that are connected to you, they will get the tap, tap, tap. Healer friends of mine who I've initiated many times, you know, whether it be Reiki classes, officiated their wedding, they felt my tap, tap, tap over the last couple weeks. Even though I was in a very expensive space with my birthday, I can feel there's this inner shift happening with inside of me, where I've said to Gabriel, every day I'm waking up with this feeling of this bigger than me movement that's tapping again. And I keep kind of like closing the door to it, and it keeps reopening. And I keep closing the door to it, and it keeps reopening. And I'm like, okay, that door is blowing open now, because, and how you know you're ignoring what you need to face, what you need to step into, or what you need to heal, is it will tap, tap, tap until it bang, 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 and then the door blows open. And usually we have a crash. And that crash shows up in the way of our emotions. Feeling frustrated, feeling disappointed, feeling sad, feeling confused, feeling fear. It's a couple things. The reason why this is happening on the highest level is because you are ascending. You're actually growing. Your higher self is saying it's time for you to grow. It's time for you to deal with this stuff. It's time for you to head on face it. So let's use your tools, but you're also setting out a signal for help. It's whether or not you're listening for that help, or you're listening for when the call is being picked up. I get the tap, tap, tap. So I'll message my people. I'll message our clients. I'll message past clients who may not even be in our world intimately anymore. I'll message my friends. I'll message my peers. Hey, I thought of you. I'm sending you lots of love. There's a signal. There's a message that's being asked to be connected there. Not that I'm pushing, but I'm listening. And it's because you are sending out a signal and I'm picking up the phone. Now it's a matter of what do we do next? So the love is there. It's like that little touch point saying, you are loved. I am here. I got you. It's like my friends that picked up on me a couple weeks ago. They were like, I just want to let you know that the work that you're doing is incredible. The work that you and Gabriel do, you are the most authentic, grounded spiritual teachers I've ever known. And they've walked in circles with some pretty well-known people that have lots of books and lots of things and lots of momentum and lots of views. And they said, you're the real deal. And I was like, thank you so much. I actually really needed to hear this today, because I was going through my own wavering of identity, wavering of what this movement is that feels so big that it kind of scares me. But I know that's what I'm supposed to step into. Have you ever had one of those moments where something, it's like you think about it and it scares you, but you just know that's what you're supposed to move into? That's your growth. That's your ascension. But many times we let the fear and we let the emotions, we let the thinking pull us back instead of move forward. And we could only do that for so long, and then things stop working. This is what happens in the ascension process. If we do not take our growth, if we do not stop and pause and heal, if we do not pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I need some help, whether that's booking a one-on-one. We still offer one-on-ones, by the way. A lot of people don't know this, but we still offer one-on-one sessions to our clients. Whether that's getting in a container like Thrive. This is the work that we're doing right now in Thrive. It's big and it's beautiful and it's deep and it's powerful and it's moving people very, very quickly through their stuff. This is the work that we do in our Light Leadership program, where we're having higher level conversations about your movement, your world, your mission, your purpose, your money, moving those blocks. This is the work that we're doing constantly, all day, every day, every week. But if you don't take that next step and you think that you can just like sort through it all on your own, it's kind of like being the bee in the ocean, putting out the signal, being like, I'm flipped upside down, I'm covered in salt water, I don't know how to get myself to land. But I think I know the way. I think I'm going to wait. I'm going to figure it out. Now, thankfully, the kids and I came along yesterday and we saw the bees upside down and we scooped them up and we turned them upside down and we put some fresh water on them and cleaned them off. This is what we get to do for each other. Those of us that are healers and light workers and soul coaches, this is our work. This is what we're meant to do. This is how we're meant to serve. So that's the first thing, is knowing when you need help. Knowing that I'm the turtle or the bee that's been flipped upside down and I'm experiencing all this stuff, the rawness, I'm exposed, right? The soft part of the turtle shell is exposed when it's upside down. This is how we feel sometimes. When these big emotions are coming, when we're in our next level of growth, when we're in next level of ascension, we feel the fragility of ourselves. We feel the sensitivity of ourselves. We feel the vulnerability of ourselves. And we feel all squishy. And we're exposed. And we don't know how to flip ourselves over. So part of it is having the support to somebody come and help you turn it around. Sometimes it's having the tools inwardly to use those tools, like a lot of our clients in Thrive, all of our clients in Thrive, these are the tools that they learn to flip themselves back around. Now, sometimes all they need is like a 30-minute touch point with us and then we can flip them even faster. This is usually what happens. They're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like that just like flipped me right back over. Thank you so much. Think about ascension as like the ocean waves, okay? Sometimes it's calm, sometimes it's steady, and then there's like these turbulent waves. And if you're like the turtle, you can find your way, but then sometimes you get flipped over, and especially when you venture into new territory. When the turtle comes to land and it finds itself in new territory, or it's pushed to the shore and it topples over, it's because it's ventured into new territory. Ask yourself, where am I venturing into new territory? What new lands am I seeking? What new lands am I tiptoeing into? I'm like the turtle coming out of the water, being like, I know that there's another way, there's another world. There's something more for me to expand upon or go and experience. And when you go, sometimes the wave pushes you. That's spirit, that's source, that's your higher self pushing you, guiding you, saying, if I don't give you this little push, you're going to stay right here where it's safe. That's not ascension. That's safety. And I like being safe. But if you're also on an ascension timeline, an ascension pathway where you're like, I'm here to grow and I'm here to become the next greatest version of myself, you are going to have topple over moments. You are. Those topple over moments is to expose what you're holding on to that doesn't serve you. To expose the patterns that you're living that do not serve you. To expose and show you the inner contents of yourself that can't be there any longer if you actually want to flip yourself over and ride the next high wave and venture into new land, new territory, new experience. We cannot bring our old self with us into new territory. You can't. You could try, but you'll constantly be pulled back. You'll constantly fall back. You'll constantly land back into old patterns, old programs, old thoughts, old thinking, old feeling. And then the cycle repeats itself. And then we're like, oh my God, I got flipped upside down again. Why does this keep happening? Why do I keep being flipped upside down? Why do I have to keep readdressing this stuff? That's because there are layers of us. We are layered beings. There are layers. Even if you've done this work, many of you have done this work already in Thrive. There are layers. I've been saying this in Light Leadership so consistently that they're probably like, Tara sounds like a broken record right now. There are so many layers that we move through, and we move through what we can handle at any given moment. We move through what we're capable of moving through because that's what we're capable of moving through in that moment. We are not pushed beyond our limits. Your higher self knows when it's time to grow. Your higher self knows when it's time to get help. The higher self knows when it's time to flip you over because maybe You haven't been taking the time. Maybe you've been so busy. Maybe you've had so many other things going on. Maybe you've been stressing about so many other details that you're not paying attention to the very most important thing, which is your inner self, the fragile part of you, the soft part of you if the turtle's flipped upside down, the vulnerable part of you that needs to be healed and addressed and looked at. Your higher self knows all of that, but it also knows how to make the call. You know, the old dial phones. Hello. Yes, I'm calling my healer friends. I need some help. I have flipped upside down and I do not know how to get myself right side up. Please, can you help me? And all your healer friends are like, ding, 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 ding. They're like, sending you love, sending you healing. I got you. I hear you. I feel you. Isn't it so interesting that you message at this exact time? Isn't it so interesting that the very song that you picked was the same song that I picked for my brother's memorial? There's no coincidence. This is the higher self and your higher self connecting the dots to make it easy. But then what do? We fall back into hard. The signal, the answer is right there. It's like, book a call, book a session, jump into this thing, do this thing, follow that path, follow that route. And what do? We pull ourselves back. We're like, I'm just going to figure it out on my own. I'm very smart. I am too. I'm very intuitive. I am too. I have a lot of tools already. I do too. And I will be the first person to say, help, I need help. And this is what I did with friends of mine who are also healers. I'm like, I need some help. I feel like I'm in this like loop. I need help. This is what we get to do for each other. So start to pay attention to what phase of this that I've been talking about here are you in? What have you been listening to? What have you not been listening to? What have you been leaning into? What have you been resisting? What have you been saying to yourself? What patterns are rising up? If there are old emotions coming up to the surface, it's okay. It means you're growing. Here's what you can start to do, okay? First, acknowledge that you're growing. Celebrate that. Be like, woohoo! Like, I'm growing. I'm becoming the next version of myself. Well, how and why? Well, because maybe you set some intentions. Maybe you set some intentions last month, yesterday. Maybe you set some intentions a year ago. That now you're finally in a vibrational space where you're like, you're ready. Your higher self is like, you're ready. Here's the time. Here's the now. Here's the grow moment. Are you going to take your growth or are you going to fall back? Remember I did a talk, some of you might remember this. I did talk about this, about when you're trying on downhill skis, they make you fall forward to test that you're going to actually like fall out of the skis properly so that you don't get trapped in them. This is a very key analogy. Fall forward, not back. Every time you hit a growth moment, it will be uncomfortable. When you're growing, you are going to have old stuff resurface, old fears, insecurities, doubts. I have this happening right now. Gabriel and I are sitting on the heels of creating this really big movement. Actually, I'm going to share what it is because I feel like this is important. Take a sip of my beautiful latte as I get ready. Gabriel and I are feeling called to create this movement that has been knocking at our door for years. I've dipped my toe in. I've stepped in. We teach this in Thrive, little bits here and there, sprinkles here and there. And over my birthday week, it was birthday week, I had so many powerful, beautiful conversations, you guys. Holy man, I gotta tell you, it was like pure magic. The more I leaned in, the more I surrendered, the more I sat in a space of receptivity, the more I allowed my inner goddess to really come out and shine and play. The more I was being received, the more I was being seen, the more I was being heard, the more I was being gifted all sorts of incredible things. These earrings were a gift from my friend Anna Lozano, who I interviewed. I was gifted a photo shoot and video reel. I was gifted a beautiful bracelet that I wore the other day. And it's not just material things. I was gifted incredible conversations. I was gifted insights. I was gifted affirmation of like, yes, this is the path. To the point where I started seeing it everywhere. I literally was seeing it everywhere. And I said to Gabriel, I'm like, this affirmation dropped down when I was caring for my parents when I was back home for Christmas. And at night I'd sit and meditate after I'd take care of them. And this thing kept dropping in. I am becoming, and some of you know this if you're in Thrive or if you're in Light Leadership, because I've said this to you guys because it felt safe to say it there. I am becoming my multi-million dollar self. This was the conversation that I kept having over the last couple weeks at the birthday gatherings. I am becoming, because they'd say, what are you creating this year? And I said, I'm creating becoming my multi-million dollar self. I said, because I feel like conscious wealth in the hands of conscious people who are up to really big things can actually change the world for real. For real. And the more I talked about this, people were getting lit up. People that I never even thought would be interested in this conversation were being lit up. People were like leaning in. They were like, I want to claim that. I want to choose that. And I came back and I said to Gabriel, I'm like, we need to do something with this. Now, I don't know what all I do. Cancel, delete that. My higher self knows all the details and it's being revealed to me step by step. Okay, I'll say it that way. It's being revealed to me step by step. But I feel like the first thing I need to do was claim it. And then I needed to start talking about it. And then I said to Gabriel, what if we created a movement about this? What if we opened up a new group that was just about this? Those that want to walk the path to creating their multi-million dollar self, becoming their multi-million dollar self. Because if more of us that have this conscious awareness, if you've been tuning into this, into Plug In and Power Up, if you've been following my work for any time, you're dialed into a higher conversation. You guys are living a higher frequency. You're living the rising consciousness path. You're living the ascension pathway. I know this because you can be here and have this conversation. And I said, imagine if more of us having these conversations were tapped into like infinite wealth for real. What would it take for us to become that multi-million dollar self to then open up? Like I think about Jen. Jen was in one of our masterminds. Jen's been in a number of our programs. She's a really good friend of ours. She started out as a client, became a really good friend of ours. She was there for the boy's birth as well. Like just incredible human being. And Jen has this vision. I'm going to share it if you're okay with this, Jen. She has this vision of creating or seeing like retreat facilities and centers for kids that have special needs that are now becoming adults and they don't necessarily fit into the way society currently is right now. But there needs to be a place for them. It makes me very emotional thinking about it because there's no real place for them as yet when they become adults. When they're kids, it's fine because Jen's been caring for them as a single mom for a long time. But now she has a daughter who's like freeing herself. She's becoming more adult. She needs a space. And so we're like, imagine if we just said, here, what do you need, Jen? You need $1 million to get this off the ground. You need $700,000 to get this off the ground. You need $2 million to get this off the ground. I have that. Let me be an angel investor. Let me do this. Let's do this. Or what if she somehow miraculously created the wealth opportunities that came in where it could all just happen? Imagine what that could do for the whole world. Now, many of you might have that on your heart where you have something that you're like, gosh, if only I had the money, I would do this. I've heard this so many times over forever. I'll just say forever. I've heard this forever. And it's been tapping, like I have so much emotion around this, even just expressing this, because I can feel like this is such alignment in me sharing this. That it's like this tap, tap, tap. If we actually do this, you guys, we're going to change the world in a really powerful, positive way. So in me stepping into this and creating this movement, and my higher self knows what the details are and it's all being revealed to me step by step. I'm saying that because I don't want to say I don't know the steps, okay? So just take that as part of the teaching. If you ever hear yourself saying, but I don't know how I'm going to do that, here's your very first teaching in becoming your multi-million dollar self. You have to trust that your higher self, your soul, knows the path. It knows the steps. It will be revealed to you step by step. Now, I've been holding back on saying this because I had all these stories about things that I see online and things that, it's like, I'm not dangling, the Gucci bags and that's fine. Like if people want to buy that stuff, that's fine. There's no judgment on that. But I had a space within myself where I was like, I'm not acquiring wealth in order to go buy 1,000 pair of shoes that are like $1,000 a piece. That's not why I'm doing this work. I'm doing this work because I have a bigger call on my heart. And it's no judgment. If anybody has the material wealth, that's fine. I think we can have it all. But there's something, I was afraid to step forward in this and I could feel it in myself. And so because I was afraid to step forward and speak about it and to just say it, I felt myself being pulled back. And all of a sudden I had to face all this stuff. I had to face my fears around this. I had to look at my insecurities about talking about this. I had to look at well, Tara, you came close to $1 million, but you haven't stretched over the $1 million mark yet in your business. I mean, long-term, if we looked at over the last even 5 years of coming online, yes, we've definitely surpassed $1 million over 5 years, but in a year, right? So I had this thought come up. I said this to my friend Hillary the other day. I was like, Who am I to start talking about creating wealth when I haven't crossed over the $1 million mark in a year as yet? And she's like, but you are abundant. She's like, you are the epitome of abundance. Like, look at your life, look at your family, look at your kids, look at where you live, look at what you've created. I'm like, oh yeah. Like, we forget these things. So here's where it comes back into the call, right? I was falling back into my stuff. I was the turtle that was flipped upside down, exposed, raw, big emotions, big feelings, insecurities, doubts, inner bleh coming up all over the place. And then it's like my peeps got the signal, got my signal, and messaged me out of the blue, right? To help flip me back on my feet, to turn me right side up again. This is what we get to do for each other. So whenever that happens, pay attention to those synchronistic signals, pay attention to those synchronistic conversations. This is your higher self connecting you so that you don't have to be flailing around upside down, struggling to figure out how to turn yourself right side up. There are ways to turn you right side up very quick. And many times it is having those conversations with people. It's the right tool, it's the right thing in the right moment to flip you right side up. Whether it be encouragement, whether it be held in love. These are all the things that we do with our clients, being held in love, being held by the higher self, being held as the inner child, nourishing ourselves, coming into a space of deep love and compassion, self-worth, self-care. This is everything that we've been doing in the last month in Thrive. This next month, we're moving into relationships, like really having beautiful, conscious, elevated conversations in our relationships so that when we go into manifestation creation, which is going to be a whole new wealth conversation, this is a movement that we're creating in this next wave of Thrive. It's going to be so powerful and people are going to be ready for it because their conversations are going to be so clear and grounded and strong. I know I've dropped a lot here and I want to bring it all together. I want to start to bring it all together. So myself walking through this, it takes courage to lean in. It takes courage to be vulnerable. It takes courage to say, I need help. I'm very strong. I'm very intuitive and I need some help. And I feel in harmony and resonance with you and I need help. That takes courage. Celebrate those moments when you've done that for yourself. Celebrate the moments if you do have all this stuff that's being exposed within you that's coming to the surface because it means you're growing. Celebrate yourself. You are growing. Every single time, this has been one of the most magical things for me when I have my own stuff, inner stuff coming up, I celebrate. I'm like, oh, this is a doozy. And sometimes I'm laughing and sometimes I'm crying and sometimes I'm angry and I'm like, this is friggin' intense. And I celebrate myself still. I give myself an energetic hug. I celebrate myself. I hold myself. I hold my heart. I celebrate myself because I'm growing. And I'm also humble enough to say when I've reached my edge and I can't see what I can't see. I know myself enough to say, I've looked at it from all different angles. I need help. I'm humble enough to do that. And then I have my support systems. Thankfully, Gabriel and I walk together. So a lot of times we're each other's support systems, but there's even times when it's like, I know I need my healer friends to help me. I know I need my mentors to help me. And so we have these playful conversations, these beautiful, expansive conversations. It's so important to be humble. This is why it's such a vulnerable space when the turtle's turned upside down, when the bee is upside down. It's very vulnerable. It's okay to say, I need help. It's okay to be vulnerable. This is your growth moment. And the third piece that I will say is this. In order to move yourself forward, you got to ask yourself, what is it that is being exposed here? What is it that I'm facing here? Why is it that there's all this, I just feel so full of anger or rage or sadness or disappointment or fear or whatever's coming up. I can't seem to get out of it. It's because you're supposed to actually stop and pause and heal it. You're not supposed to get out of it. You're supposed to heal it. If you were meant to get out of it, it would have been a blip moment. And a blip moment is where something comes and you feel a wave and you're like, oh, whoop, and on to the next. It's a blip moment. If it's hanging around and it's got you flipped upside down for a longer than a day, a longer than a week, definitely longer than a month, I need help. That should be your very first thing. I need help. And then you go seek your help wherever it resonates. You go seek your help. Wherever you felt great, wherever you know you're going to get results, wherever you know that you feel alleviation and elevation, somebody's going to help you. I need help. Because if you're upside down and you've been trying to move through this thing for a year, a month, 10 years, a week, even for me, a day is too long. If I can't move through it in a day, I'm like, I need help. Now you can go to your higher self. Your higher self is always there to help you and guide you, 100%. But sometimes when we're upside down, it feels almost impossible to get to the clarity. You ever had that? Where it's like, I feel all the emotion, I'm upside down, and I can't even get clarity from my own intuition, which I know is there. I can't even get clarity from my own higher self, which I know is there. But it's because you're in the rawness, you're in the vulnerability, you're in the soup. So this is where the lifeline is like, I need help. And that's where someone who's not in the mix with you, they're not in that soupy emotional stuff, can actually see. They're like, I see it. I see the clarity. Let me help you. Here, let's throw a lifeline. Let's clear this. Let's move this. Here's some clarity. Here's some insight. And here's your next step. And before you know it, half hour, an hour, you're like back up. Flip back upside down. You're like, oh my God, I feel amazing. I feel fantastic. I feel light. I feel free. I have clarity. I feel peace. Oh my God, I feel like myself. Oh my God, there's my clarity of my higher self coming in. Oh, I feel so good. And then you're on to your next step. This is what happened for me over the last, I'd say like 5-6 days. I'm not surprised that I had to sit on the couch all day yesterday with the kids, like all moving through fevers. I needed to stop. I needed to sit down and answer the messages from my friends that were helping me. I needed to go through energetic healing. I needed to face my insecurities and doubts and fears coming up around taking this big movement, doing something with it, not just sitting on it, right? If this resonates, tune into which piece you need and then do something with that. Take action. The worst thing is not taking action. And maybe you're sending out the signal and maybe your peeps are picking up on it. Maybe you're like, I need help. So you're like, I need help. Maybe you're searching. I need something. I need a program. I need a person. I need a something. I need a tool. Maybe you're in a space where I don't even know what I need. I just know I don't want to feel this. Then lean in. Fall forward, not back. Create momentum. And then lastly, one of the things that you can start to do to create that space, like I said, is to celebrate that you're growing. Pause and feel the vulnerability. And start to ask and commune with your higher self, what is the teaching here? Who am I to become? What are you showing me? And if you can't get that, then that's where you really need some help. For real, like not from a condescending, mean place. Like you really, it's like, I know this for myself. I know when I need help. And I'm humble enough to say I need help. So then lean into where that help is, okay? I hope this has helped. I hope this resonates with you guys. You know, this movement, I'll speak for myself to wrap this up, and then I want to draw a card for you guys. From my Divine Wisdom Oracle cards that I created, which I still love so much, and I have to do a launch party and all the things. As we step into greater versions of ourselves, we have to get courageous. We will get stronger. But we will also have to face our insecurities and our doubts and our fears and our limitations. This is our growth point. This is how we grow. This is how we become the greatest version, the 5D version of ourselves. This is how we do it. We don't do it by glazing over it. We don't do it by skipping over it. We don't do it by skipping the steps. We don't do it by waiting. If you wait, it's just gonna like get bigger and stronger and louder and more pain. You do it by stepping in, by leaning in. This is how we do it. And so for myself, even just outing, right? To be like, this is the movement that we're being called to create. However that's going to unfold, I trust and I know it's going to be amazing. And I will keep you all updated as it unfolds. As I let myself unravel, heal, and then elevate, more and more clarity drops in, more and more truth drops in, and then I get to take the next step. And then I might hit another edge, and I might hit another moment where I'm like, oh my God, this is so painful. This is so, I feel so like, there's nowhere else to go but in and up. In and up. Okay? You're going into yourself, and then you rise up. So, oh, I love this. I just split the deck, and it says, honor life's cycles, return to your natural rhythm. And I love this card so much because you've got like the sun energy, the moon energy, the cycles, the seasons, how things go around. And I believe that this is what happens for us. We have these natural cycles and we're constantly returning and returning and returning to be like, are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Are you ready now? You want to do it now? Are you ready yet? And it'll keep going like this because we back up, we retract, so it retracts with us. Then all of a sudden it gets so uncomfortable. The movement, the mission, the next step, the next version, the next identity of what we're supposed to birth and who we're to become, it keeps going like this. Are you ready? And we're like, no. Are you ready now? No. But one of these times it's going to go, are you ready? And you're going to go, yes, I'm ready now. Because this uncomfortability, this pain, this suffering, this disappointment, this anger, this rage, this fear, this sadness, I'm done. Like I can't go another day. I don't want to do this to myself anymore. I'm done. And we say yes. So the cycle returns again and again and again and again. And the moment you say yes, it's like you complete a cycle. You step into a higher version of ascension, the ascended version of you. You step into a higher version of yourself. That cycle, that repeat Groundhog Day, blah, 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 being flipped upside down all the time, it stops. You're ready, right? I'm ready too. I'm so ready. It stops. And then you do the work, you ascend. This is why so much is coming to the surface right now for so many of us. Because I think we've been sitting comfortable, safe, for a little too long. Doing the same old thing. Doing the same old thing over and over and over again. It's that thing, right? Doing the same thing, expecting different results. Sometimes we gotta like turn ourselves upside down, or the universe will turn you upside down. And the card that I just split was this. Right? So that we can move into a space of trust and surrender, let go to allow in more flow. But sometimes we're resisting, we're creating our own resistance, and we need to let go. We need to actually surrender and let go. That means letting go of control, letting go of what we think we know, letting go of our egos, letting go of all the things, all of it that we're just holding on to that's not serving us. To let go and say, I'm ready to step in, I'm ready to lean in, I'm ready to do this thing. I'm ready to call out for support. I'm ready to hold your hand. I'm ready to do this already. Can you help me? Yes, I can. And the whole universe, and whoever you call up as your guide, as your support team, as your mentor, as your healer, yes, I can help you. And then you enter this space of surrender. And then more flow starts to come in. Your next wave of goodness comes in. So as we wrap up, I hope this has resonated. If you want to come and join us in our next free masterclass, it's all around abundance. I have a feeling we're going to talk about this movement a lot more. It's happening on Wednesday. It's a free masterclass for 90 minutes, Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you can't be there live, the replay will be up for a certain amount of time afterwards. And just type the word money. Let's just talk about money. Let's just be frank about it. It's called For the Love of Money. So just type money in the comments and I'll send you the link. Or if you want it privately, just send me a private message and I'll send you the link. And this is going to be a really powerful masterclass because we've been sitting on something we wanted to talk about for a long time. This is going to be a very fun, playful conversation about money, about creating more flow, which sets the stage for this bigger conversation around wealth. Becoming your multi-million dollar self, becoming your wealthy self. And what does that mean? And so this is the conversation that we're going to be having in there. And it's going to be very raw, very real, very beautiful, very, very light-filled, very playful, to kickstart the joy again around creating more and more abundance to flow into your life. So again, if you want the link, money is the word, or you can private message me the word money and I'll send you the link privately. And if you've loved this video, share it, okay? Many of you saw my post. This video will be active for 30 days. Facebook has this new policy they put in place, so Plug-in and Power Ups will only be available for 30 days. Then what happens is the video is going to come down. We're going to download it. Some of them will be uploaded into YouTube if they're relevant and timely, that they're, that it'll make sense to put them up there. And the rest will be going into our Ascension Meditation space, which is our monthly membership for only $55 a month. You can cancel at any time. It's a fantastic space. There's beautiful libraries of meditations. We do 2 live classes a month. One's a healing Reiki circle and one is a meditation circle. and that's all live. The replays go up, but that's where the Plug In and Power Up library will be, because Facebook created this new thing, which is very shocking, but it's creating an up level. I had a meltdown about it a couple days ago. I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. I was like, some of my videos have like 4,000 views, 40,000 views, 10,000 views. And I'm like, all that energy is going to evaporate. But I'm going to trust that it's a cleanup for a reason, and we're navigating it all. But just to let you guys know, 30 days to watch this video. You can share it now, get it out there to as many people as you can, because then it evaporates. Facebook will just delete it. So then I'm going to be taking it down, moving it over to our Ascension Meditation membership. So if you want access to that, send me a private message. I'll send you the link. But that's where Plug In and Power Ups are going to live. We own that space because we pay for it. We pay for the data, the storage, etc. So that's where the Plug In and Power Ups are going to go. So you have 30 days to watch this video and share it, and then it goes like this. Not by my accord, by Facebook's. According to their new policies, which I don't favor, but it is what it is. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being courageous to have this conversation. Thank you for leaning in. Thank you for listening to yourself, your higher self. And I'm really excited to hear and see what your next move is going to be, what your next step is going to be. I love you, and I thank you, and I hold the highest light and energy for you and all that you are becoming. Bye. You're so welcome.